Stormed the River Finn season and destroying more than 800 mining equipment following weeks of pollution by illegal miners.
We are here with the military. We started last Friday. They've been patrolling the Ofin, the Ankobra, making sure that we clamp down these recalcitrant who are so determined to destroy our river bodies.
Also here on the Midday News, Parliament's Committee on Defence and Interior moves to the Upper East region after renewed shootings left 4 persons dead and several others injured in Boko. But the MPs are faced with the challenge of access. We'll take you live there, coming up in sports.
But we'll get into the camp of RTU, where players have boycotted pre-season training of unpaid salaries and bonuses from as far back as March this year.
And later, 14 lives lost to fire in the Ashanti region so far this year. These stories and more here on the Midday News. Stay with us. Hello again, thanks for choosing us. This is the home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. I am Ernest, Manu. The Bank of Ghana's Monetary Policy Committee is in an emergency meeting as the nation's currency continues to weaken, with inflation accelerating at the fastest pace in almost 2 decades. The cedi fell at 1.6 yesterday, extending this year's slump to 35% and making it the world's worst performing currency among 150 tracked by Bloomberg after bankrupt Sri Lanka's rupee. Well, the Bank of Ghana is seeking solutions today, but what options are available? We'll find out soon. First, an economist at the University of Ghana Business School, Professor Godfred Bockman, says the situation is getting hopeless.
Bank of Ghana is at its limit when it comes to using monetary policy to address the demand-related inflationary pressures. You only have control in terms of some aspects. And if your belief is that liquidity, excess liquidity is what is driving that, then you deploy your monetary policy appropriately. Exactly. But we have gone past that level. Look, the reality is the Bank of Ghana has thrown their hands into the air. If you look at where the policy rate is and where inflation is right now, the gap tells you clearly that they've given up, because there's a limit to how much you can use the monetary policy to address the demand-related inflation pressures. But the supply cost push, that dimension remains, and that is where the fiscal side has to respond. So we'll come to that. The downgrade was slightly expected. So before even these ratings were released, we had been priced out of the international capital market. Ghana had been locked out completely. What we need to do now is how do we re-engineer and improve the fundamentals so that we could enter the market. It's getting worse, and the reason I say so is that if you look at the domestic market itself, you see clearly that the government is being priced out. And that is, the government goes to the market to mobilize, let's say, 5 billion cedis, and it could only get 1.something billion. The difference, the central bank will have to come in terms of deficit financing, right, or printing of cedis to pay down that. Typically, and then let me say this, where we are now, an IMF program is not enough to solve the problem. It's not. If you look at the debt numbers, and per our own preliminary assessment, we are in an unsustainable debt situation. If it happens that way, an IMF intervention is insufficient. Right now, our government has not developed its program.
And that's an economist at the University of Ghana Business School, Professor Godfred Bockman. The Ghana National Association of Teachers expects that today's meeting will restore confidence in the economy and address the worsening standard of living. Let's hear from President Reverend Isaac Owusu.
The challenges that are confronting us. See, the earlier we come together as a nation to look at the way forward will help all of us. Because presently, if you look at where the cedi to dollar has reached, it is not the best for us as a country. We asked for COLA to support our members. And the 15% that government is going to pay the worker ending of this month. Now, $1. You will need about 10 cedis to get $1. So if the 15% of maybe a worker who takes 2,000, around 250 cedis, and if you want to convert that 250 cedis to $1, you will not even get more than maybe enough dollars to even push you to go to the market. So we have to admit, and I believe all of us admit that now we are in a serious situation. So for us as workers, we are not looking at who is to be blamed. What we want is that those in authority should make sure that they put things together to help all of us, including the workers in the country. That is what we are expecting.
Well, Deputy Energy Minister Andre Japamesa is optimistic government will turn things around.
The impact on Ghana and the impact significantly on the exchange rate can directly be attributable to the actions that the Parliament of Ghana took by failing to pass the revenue measures that was intended to fund the budget by a certain date. If that then triggers a downgrade of your economy by the ratings agencies, you would have the kind of reaction that we are having today. But of course, typical. They go up there, muddy the waters, and come down and ask, who is it that has caused the kind of situation that we find? If the decision to clean out the banking sector, for example, which cost some 25 billion, had not been done, what would have been the consequences? If all the energy sector debts that had accumulated, the IPPs that had been contracted, if government had decided not to fund them, what would have been the consequences? If the COVID expenditure, all the protections that government put in place to cushion Ghanaians and to protect lives and livelihoods had not been taken, what would have been the consequences? Okay, but as a responsible government, it took all those decisions, and in the midst of all that, our economy was still growing. Government is poised to deal with the issues. And my expectation is that by close of year into next year, many of the economic indicators would have stabilized and Ghana would be back on track.
Today's monetary policy meeting is being watched by the international wires, and already some are reporting on the state of affairs in the country. Elton Bobe joins me in the studio. Elton, Ghana appears to be attracting global attention. Why is that?
So Bloomberg is heavy on our currency, saying that we are only before Sri Lanka in terms of how bad our city is doing against the major trading currency. Now, there's an interesting quote from Goldman Sachs. It says that they have been studying our situation and what we are doing to get ourselves out of it. Now, let me just bring you this quote. It says that we noticed some lack of urgency on the part of government in clinching a deal from the International Monetary Fund to stabilize the economy. In our recent trip to Accra, one notable observation was the authorities' perceived lack of urgency in concluding program talks with the IMF, with local expecting a 6 to 9 months time frame, in spite of intensifying balance of payment and fiscal financial pressure. So all of them are looking forward to what the MPC will come up with to see how best we can get ourselves out of the economic challenges facing the country.
And that conclusion is rather interesting because the president has described as unacceptable the depreciation of the Ghana cedi. So what options are available for the Bank of Ghana? Business News editor George Yafe joins me in the studio as we look forward to the Bank of Ghana's intervention today. George, what really could the BOG do?
Well, what the BOG could do is to what actions they can take to actually compensate investors that are placing funds in our bonds in the country. You have a situation where the policy rate is at this level and have inflation as far as maybe 31.7%. Now, you need to find ways to compensate these investors because what we are going through right now is more of limited supply of dollars. Our reserves are not enough. Those offshore investors who should have invested in our bonds to bring in these FX are not coming in. So take a measure where you have to hike the policy rate again so that when they bring in their investment, in terms of the real returns that they get, they are compensated one way or the other. And that is why even if you follow what Goldman Sachs in the analysis that they did, they are thinking that at least we should witness about 200 basis points in the policy rate to 21%. And also, what do you do to ensure that there is some confidence in the Ghana cedi and have a situation where you check the FX control? You have a situation where a lot of people are going out there to buy dollars and put it in an account or hold it, or even put it in an investment instrument outside. How do you ensure that these dollars are made available to those businesses that need the very well to carry out transactions? So whilst they will look at hiking the policy rate to try and meet it halfway through those offshore investors and compensate them, you also want to take certain measures that would ensure that you check the control and supply of dollars in the system. And these are some of the measures that they might be looking or taking to bring some stability in the economy right now.
George, thank you very much. And we are closely monitoring that meeting to see what the committee decides eventually. But in a related development, the Ghana Statistical Service has released the July producer price of inflation, which now stands at 41%. Here's government statistician Professor Samuel Kobnaini.
Producer price inflation for the month of July 2022 stood at 41.2%. This indicates that on a year-on-year basis, between July 2021 and July 2022, prices of goods and services from the producer's perspective went up by 41.2%. This rate indicates a 2.5 percentage point difference between the rate that was recorded for June 2022, 38.7%, and July 2022, 41.2%. From a monthly perspective, between June 2022 and July 2022, price of goods and services from the producer's perspective went up by 1.9%. At the subsector level, specifically manufacturing, mining and quarrying and utility subsector, producer price inflation on a year-on-year basis stood at 57.4% for the manufacturing subsector, 23.9% for the mining and quarrying subsector, and 1.3% for the utility subsector.
And that's government statistician Professor Samuel Kobna Inim. Let's turn our attention now to the environment. A crack team of military officers have stormed the Ofin River, seizing and destroying more than 800 mining equipment. This comes in the wake of a Joy News report capturing pollution of the river by illegal miners. At least 9 people were arrested last week, but that did not deter the miners from going about the activities on the water body. Now FM's Erastus Saridonko captured the extent of pollution on the River Ofin after a video capturing the miners went viral.
This video showing a number of water polluting mining equipment operating on the Ofin centers on a fact-finding mission. We found the location at Abompe, a small village in the Achumampunwa district of Ashanti. Despite a security operation here, a bird's eye view revealed a number of Shangfan operators working with impunity directly in the river at various portions of the highly polluted resource. Residents like Abeliko Kwame, a farmer at Abesua, are directly affected by the pollution of the river. We live by the Ofin, but they are destroying the land and the river. He tells me they've arrested the illegal miners many times, but did not receive the support of local leaders. We asked for reinforcement from local leaders, the assembly member and the unit committee members before the operation, but they didn't mind us. After we drove them out of Abumpi, Intabanu and other villages, we reported to the DCE of Makranso and police commander, but they did not assist us. Now they are back, working actively at Abesua number 1 and 2 and Abumpe number 1 and 2. At Kojo Krum, some of the miners polluting the river escaped into the Ofin at the site of our team. Local leaders like Beposo Ochame Ajenim Boatin denies knowledge of the problem. When I first noticed the illegality, I notified the MP and they came to burn some equipment. But now I never knew they are back on the river, polluting it. But DCE for Achumampunwa, Isaac Kofimafo, who was scouting the area, says he's on top of his job.
We arrested about 9 people there. Right now they are in Hinahini police custody. So next week, Wednesday, they will do another dissect meeting and make another plans.
Erastus Saridonko filed that report. Well, the military has since Friday been embarking on operation in the area, and Western Region correspondent Natalia Kwanza also reports that a joint police and immigration team have visited portions of the water body. She has more in this report.
In an operation aimed at reminding the illegal miners of government's uncompromising and unshakable stance against illegal mining, George Mekuduka, the Chief Executive Officer for the Minerals Commission, Martin Aisi, and the team of military officers seized and decommissioned over 800 champagne machines. The Deputy Minister warned that government will not take its feet off the pedal until the canker of Galamsey is nipped in the bud.
We are here with the military. We started last Friday. They've been patrolling the Offing, the Ankobra, making sure that we clamp down these recalcitrant who are so determined to destroy our river bodies. It's very unfortunate that out of greed, people are destroying the heritage and future of this country. Very, very unfortunate, irrespective of the effort that government has unleashed on these people. I'm so saddened to see people just mining in a river body without any shred of responsibility of being a Ghanaian. Very sad situation. Just last week, we received a video that went viral, showcasing people mining in the river bodies without any recourse to the law.
Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, George Mekudikade, ended that report by correspondent Inathalia Kwanzaa. Now, this afternoon, Parliament's Committee on Defence and Interior is in the Upper East region and expected to go to the Boko Township following an attack on residents by some unknown gunmen. The incident left 4 persons dead and several others injured. It's unclear what has triggered this latest attack, but Joy News is learning more security men have been deployed to contain the situation. Albert Sorry is our man there. He joins us on the line. Albert, first of all, let's start with the committee. Have they been able to access Boko yet?
No, Ernest. So the visit has just been cancelled because we understand that the committee had problems, technical problems with the flight they were going to come in. So that trip has now been cancelled indefinitely. But let me indicate that they had planned this visit before yesterday's attack. So it had already been communicated to us before the latest attacks occurred yesterday. The expectation was that during the visit, this attack and everything around it would have become one of the issues to be addressed. But police are saying that they are investigating. There were 2 people in the vehicle that was attacked who have escaped unhurt, and they are helping police in investigations.
And Albert, how are the residents responding to this latest developments following the death of the 4 and the injuries also recorded?
It has only heightened the fears of residents of Boko because these killings and shootings have become almost frequent in recent times. So once again, a lot of people are scared for their lives, and they are just hoping that security measures will be put in place so that these killings will stop.
Thank you very much. That's Upper East Region correspondent Albert Sorry. You're listening to the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. We're taking a break. When we return, 14 lives lost to fire in the Ashanti region this year alone. Details after this break. Thanks for staying with us here on the Midday News on Joy 99.7 FM with me, Ernest. Manu. Time now for sports. Razak Musbao is here. Good afternoon, Razak.
Good afternoon, Ernest. Now, Joy Sports can confirm the players of RTU this morning boycotted pre-season training over salaries owed them for March this year. The players have communicated they will report back to training only if the arrears are settled. The technical team and management also have their salaries unpaid for 5 months. Say Mubarak is a PRO at the club.
Well, the fact is that they've not been paid since the end of the season. I think since March up to now, the players, the technical team, and even management have not been paid. The fact is that the mandate of the technical and the management team expired at the end of the season. There were calls that both departments should be dissolved. Fortunately, the board of directors, upon meetings, decided to give the mandate to the management and the technical team to continue. But the head coach, that is Shaibu Ibrahim Tanko, declined to continue because of personal reasons. So last week we had a chat with Babanu Humalam, who is the head coach of the Black Maidens team. and he accepted the offer. In fact, he had so much hope because he's spoken to about 80% of the players who were ready to turn up. Fortunately, he reported to training yesterday in the morning, only to meet just a few supporters and some management members without the players. And of course, the players unanimously have agreed that unless they are paid, they are not returning.
Say Mubarak, the public relations officer of Real Tamale United. So, Ernest, the country is in crisis and some of our clubs are also in crisis.
Too bad for us. Let's see what the BOG says today and if that will have some ripple effect on other sectors of the economy. But 14 lives have so far been lost to fire in the Ashanti region. The figure represents more than 100% increase of the figure recorded in the first half of 2021, which saw just 5 cases of death. Ranging from domestic, industrial to bushfires, 722 fire cases were recorded in the first half of 2022. Public Relations Officer of the Ashanti Regional Fire Command, DO3 Peter Dai, attributes the increase to the change in weather.
For the first half year, this year we had 722, last year we had 613. And the difference is about 109. Out of the 722, the bushfires, we recorded a lot of them because of the worst weather we experienced early part of the year. So the bushfire that we recorded increased, but the rest of the fires are actually coming down. And if you check from March coming, the numbers of fires have reduced. It's showing a downward trend, and we are putting in measures to ensure that the downward trend continues. For the first half of the year, we lost 10 lives, but up to date, we've lost 14 lives.
And you heard there the Ashanti Regional Commander for the Fire Service. Let's stay in Kumasi because a circuit court there has granted bail to 3 final year students of the Opokuwari Senior High School arrested for alleged robbery. The students aged between 17 and 19 were arrested after they failed to snatch a taxi from its driver in the Nshaesu suburb of Kumasi. The court, presided over by His Honor Abdul Razak Musa, granted them 80,000 cedi bail with 5 sureties. We'll bring you details in our subsequent bulletins. To the Joy News agenda for today, residents of Jomankese, a predominantly farming community in the Nkranza North district of the Bono East region, are unhappy about the deplorable nature of roads in the area. Though the community is noted for the production of both foodstuff and cash crop, the narrow stretch coupled with its deplorable nature makes it more difficult for farmers to especially harvest in this season. They want government to consider them in its year of road plans. That's more on the following report.
Jomankese is a predominantly farming community in the Nkranza North district of the Bono East region. It is one of the major towns across the district, with over 70% of its economically active labor force being farmers. The deplorable nature of this road, which has never seen bitumen, keep worsening over the years.
For me, I've been here for about 8 to 9 years. And ever since I came here, this is how the road is. No changes.
With the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo declaring the year 2020 as a year of roads, the people here had so much hopes that this road will see some facelift and their livelihoods improved. More than 2.5 years after this popular declaration, the people here are yet to have their fair share of this promise.
In fact, it's not fine at all. When you look at even the pond, I can describe it as a fish pond.
The nature of the road is adversely affecting general economic activities of the people here, including education, with newly posted teachers failing to accept postings due to the nature of the road.
When teachers are coming to school, looking at the bad condition of the road, we can't go to school. We have to declare that day as a holiday. For instance, in my school, we had about 3 teachers. Because of the condition of the road, they didn't come.
We are farmers who are into groundnuts, maize, and yam production. We face difficulties in conveying our farm produce to the market due to the terrible state of our roads.
And now Sabbath filed that report. The Ghana mission in the United States has appealed for calm among the Ghanaian community in New York following the murder of a Ghanaian taxi driver. Jima Kutin, who hails from the Asin area in the central region, is said to have been assaulted to death by 5 assailants who failed to pay for his services at Rockway. Consul General for Ghana in New York, Kingsley Daniel Atabuafo, tells Joy News, though the mission has received the best of assurances from the police, He expects Ghanaians in the United States to pay close attention to their own security.
The incident all happened on Saturday, where this innocent, hard-working gentleman was using his own taxi to work. According to reports, was killed by 5 people, that is having 3 men and then 2 women, which of course the police are still investigating. The Ghana consulate immediately paid a courtesy call to commiserate with the family, where we met the wife, the pastor of their church, and some members of the families. And it will interest you to note that the police came to meet us, and we all had some fruitful exchanges where there was an assurance that the police are going to support to fast track or ensure that the investigations are done as fast as possible to bring the perpetrators to book.
The 52-year-old Kutin had 4 children aged between 3 and 8. Meanwhile, Mr. Boafo is urging calm among the Ghanaian community while the issue is being addressed.
We are of the view that all Ghanaians over here in New York are supposed to remain calm and look at the reports that will come from the police, but we should all be attending to our businesses as usual. And since we know how Ghanaians are law-abiding, we hope that any move that is being made by any Ghanaian or even an African should be measured and ensure their safety.
Now, just before we go, local authorities in Apiat in the western region are struggling to meet the needs of the victims of the January blast because they have run low on funds. That's according to a member of parliament, the member of parliament for Presiauni Valley constituency, Robert Wisdom Kojo. 13 people were killed and 59 others injured after a truck conveying explosives for a mining company collided with a motorcycle. Government has set up a fund to assist the victims, but speaking yesterday at a ceremony at which former President John Mahama donated food items to the victims, the MP said the residents need more help.
Adisa kese abeda relief camp committee na wa no mo hwe de anuanu no mapura no eye din na sika ye de hwe omo nso eni ho.
The local committee here has a huge challenge catering for the welfare of the people. They are unable to cater for their needs adequately. The people are going through a lot. Again, the bus that has been conveying students to school has stopped operating because the committee has run out of funds.
And that's Presiauni Valley constituency MP Robert Wisdom Kojo ending the midday news here on Joy 99.7 FM. We have more stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I am Ernest Manu. Up next is Living Word with Dr. Mensa Otabel. Stay tuned in.
Isn't life wonderful when everything worth doing is scheduled? Hitting the stop button on your alarm just in time for your morning jog. That happy moment listening to your baby's heartbeat at the doctor's office. Or an arranged virtual meeting with that big client.
Buy airtime ahead of time with scheduled airtime service on MTN Momo. You can schedule your airtime purchase of any amount daily, weekly, or monthly by dialing *170# option 3 and follow the process. Or simply dial *170*311# for a superb airtime purchase experience. You enjoy 100% bonus airtime anytime you recharge yourself with MTN Momo. Keep on talking with that 100% feeling. So, what are we doing today?
MTN.
Yama Wakwaba, ba Akwaba Magic Busia, brand new channel, Tia Roba, Emuno Tiao, Ewo DSTV channel 149 and Go TV channel 108. Enianom Akwaba Magic Busia, Eddie Nidia Ghanaian programs mu Baufi, a bit to set the day to have and to hold. Enyom Senior Cassia series and talk show, Bemo Wakao TV sets Nichi. Akwaba Magic Busia, Ewo DSTV access to your 50 Ghana cities per and Go TV value to your 25 Ghana cities per Ebusia Akwaba. Welcome to Step Up!
This is the biggest quiz show south of the Sahara. On this show, you play, you step up, you keep stepping up, and you keep winning. Let's step up!
Choose a category.
Let's go for geography.
Movies.
Religion. Sports. Politics.
What does A in travel, visa, stand for?
I think I have a hint.
What do you think it is?
It confuse small.
It confuse small. And you have chosen admission. Why?
Getting a visa gives you the opportunity to go somewhere.
And you're right. Give it up for him.
Premiering this Sunday, 21st August at 7:30 p.m. on Joy Prime. Step Up is sponsored by Glovo. Order anything, we deliver in minutes. And Adansa Travels. Feel life's beauty.